Welcome to the One Artificial Intelligence 2023 Global AI Conference, where the brightest minds in artificial intelligence converge to redefine the boundaries of technology and innovation. One Artificial Intelligence is the nexus of ideas and a beacon for the future of AI. Welcome to the second day of our journey together. We are united by a shared vision to unlock the full potential of AI and to explore its transformative impact on industries, societies, and our daily lives. 1BW is thrilled to provide an environment that fosters collaboration, encourages an exchange of ideas, and inspires new ways of thinking to expand the horizons of business. We're very pleased to welcome to the stage David Goldstein, founder and CEO of SalesFusion, located near Princeton, New Jersey. For the past 7 years, David and SalesFusion are delivering innovative sales and growth solutions, including the business growth engine called Lexi. Their automated technology platform surpasses human limitations and offers timely and personalized interactions with potential customers that captivate and retain lead attention, ensuring a robust start to any sales cycle. We're so excited to hear how this is being done. So now over to you, Dave.
Thank you, Dr. Fisher. I appreciate that. It was a very nice intro. So thank you. So very excited to be here. A lot to discuss and not much time. So I'm going to hop right into it here and get going. So what we want to do today is talk about how entrepreneurship, but how we can use AI to help your companies become super successful. And I want to share some tips and tricks with you about that today. But first, I want to talk about how difficult it really is to be an entrepreneur. And anybody here that started a company or has started many or whatever, or even failed, can agree with this statistic here. Unfortunately, 90% of startups fail, and that's because it's very, very difficult to be an entrepreneur and have a successful company. So what we want to do here is share some secrets and tips of how we can avoid this and be on that 10% path. So, with AI, it really levels the playing field, and it can help you and all of us founders to defy those odds. So what I want to do here is share how AI can help get you on that 10% side of success and have a longevity successful company, but then also share some principles that we've learned over the years and some mindset that themes that successful founders do, and key takeaways that you can implement today to be on the successful side. And I'm going to show you a couple applications that we do in the real world to put it all together and hopefully give you some inspiration to implement at home. So first is, a lot of folks think about AI as, what can I do? What business can I start? How can I have AI to make me money, whatever it is? I'm not going to focus on that today. Instead, I'm going to focus on more how it can help on a business operation side, how it can drive your business to quickly compete with larger companies, more established companies, and really drive value for your customers. And that's why I think of AI as the equalizer. Really levels the playing field so that you can compete and start a company and be on that path to success quicker than ever before. When I started out with a health tech company years ago, we didn't have AI, right? We had to hire an army of people. We had sure. And then, by the way, as all of us founders know, when you start out, day one, at some point you got to pivot, right? So all that cost and time that goes into things it can really be prohibitive to success. The other thing here is, and I have to stress this, collapsing time, right? In order for customers to do business with us, we have to provide them with certainty that we're going to get it done and get it done better than anyone else, right? And bring that value. We have to do it quicker than anyone else. So by the time someone has a need and they want a service or a product, they wanted it yesterday. With AI, it can collapse that time for you. So just some takeaways here. So before we get into kind of like the real world stuff, let's just talk a little bit about the differences between traditional, right, the way it used to be, and the way it can be today if you use AI in your entrepreneurial journey here. So in the day, the traditional side was man, you really needed an army of people. You needed really bright people or people capable of helping you figure out what you're solving and putting the product or solution together. And you needed traditional business models, and it was really prohibitive to scale and really costly, and all these manual processes you had to do. Today, that's not the case. Okay. And so, again, I want to talk about things that we can do right now that can put you on a better path to success. And that is by leveraging AI. When we look at from say the sales and marketing side, the impact that AI is having, that it is going to hit about $12.5 billion by the end of next year or early 2025. And that's just one area. And the reason for that is it's changing the way that we our business operations, right? The problems we can solve and the value we can bring to customers, where we never were able to do that in the past. So how do we do that, right? Well, part of it is we like to talk about automations, and the easiest way, some key takeaways you can do is to map out every aspect of your business, right? And then have SOPs, standard operating procedures. Sounds basic, but majority of founders don't do this, right? It's very simple. But what you can do is if you map out your processes, okay, and then we can put them into roles, right? So does that need a human role or say a technology role, right? Infrastructure or something. And then we can start looking and say, okay, you know what? Do we really need a human doing this role? Can we eliminate that need and automate it through AI, which can provide machine precision and consistency and all this other stuff? And also, what do we not need from an infrastructure, or what don't we have to purchase from an infrastructure standpoint that AI can do? And if you can marry the two up, you can sometimes get, quite often, that technology with the automations doing it, so you don't even need somebody operating it. So these are the things that we look at. I'm going to give you some examples and specifics of what we do to do this. But the whole thing is, really encourage you is map out that process, eliminate what you don't need with AI, and then also study that process, because that's where you can find out where the kinks are and eliminate the kinks, optimize it through AI and precision. Predictive analytics, you hear that a lot. It's kind of a fancy word, where AI can help with this, and whatever your sector is, you need to look at data. And what AI allows us to do is look at multiple sets of data from various and multiple sources, and it can analyze it quickly, and it can provide us with the trends and the intelligence. So data is often overlooked, especially in young companies, because they just don't have the resources for it, right? Today, that's all changed. So we want to look at data. Data doesn't lie. It can be manipulated, but it doesn't lie, right? So data gives us trends, and if we can transform that into intelligence, now the human aspect is we can execute on that intelligence. So that's where AI comes in really, really strongly for young companies in a manner that would have cost a fortune, tens of thousands of dollars for consulting firms to provide you in the past, right? And so these are some of the key takeaways. So AI is really, really critical in companies. What I want to do is kind of talk about some themes and some principles of what you can do to make sure that you're on the path to success and be on that 10% of successful companies, not the 90%. Some of this might seem a little basic, but I'm telling you, I've been doing this for years and working with founders. These are the key components of recipe that will help you have a successful and a company that can be, have the longevity you really hope it can have. And the first is solving the problem, right? Like, what are we solving that people need? All of us founders, right? We started our companies because we're passionate about what we do. We think we can do it better than anyone else, and we love what we do. But what's that problem that we're solving? AI can help you identify this. So let me give you an example. Great book, The Ultimate Sales Machine. Chet Holmes, he has a great illustration of this. Carpet cleaning company hired him to figure out what they're solving, right? It's not cleaning the carpets. It's that in this example, majority of germs in a house are in the carpet. So if you have pets and you have little kids, you got grandparents coming in, you don't want them to get sick, you got to clean the carpets, right? So the problem that they were solving was making a healthy and clean house for pets and little kids and things like that. This is what we want to talk about. This is the problem we're solving, and we have to do it better than anyone else. You can use AI to help identify that, dig down, and really come up with what those pain points are, so you can showcase why you're better than anyone else. Another theme here, really, really, really important, a niche. What is your defined niche? We talk about it, people know it, but very few practice it. The saying is true: the riches are in the niches. So many people want to boil the ocean. They want to solve the world's problems. They want to conquer everything in business. And you got to solve a very defined niche with a very defined market, and that's where you'll identify with your clients and your prospects. That's where you can charge more because you're bringing true value. And I'm going to show you an example of what we do, where we have a very small niche within the sales journey, but it has very big implications. Okay. So an example would be is if you're selling a software to accounts, who cares, right? They have QuickBooks, they have other things. So you'd want to define that niche into, is it accountants that only work with businesses? Okay, now you're moving a little closer. Maybe it's accountants that do audits. So you're moving down, and maybe it's accountants that work with businesses, do audits, and forensic accounting. Well, now you've got a very defined, hyper-targeted niche that you can, say, use AI to really focus on that jargon and that use the words they use and illustrations, analogies, so that forensic auditing accountant thinks that you're part of them, right? And that's where we want to identify. And the only way you can do that is through really defining your niche and tripling down on that niche, because we want people to feel, wow, you're really solving my problem. You understand my pain, and that's where you can really make your market presence known. Hopefully this makes sense. And I'll show you how we do this. And then the kind of third pillar here is your outcomes have to be monumental, right? Well, at least your positioning of it has to be. And again, you can use ChatGPT and other areas to really define this in your messaging. But a theme I see a lot of founders and entrepreneurs, the problems they make is they're not demonstrating that how monumental their product and solution is. Remember, we're competing against so many folks out there, whether it's large companies, established companies, or people are doing this themselves and they don't want to outsource, right? So an example would be, you want to buy a BMW, say it costs you $100,000. That outcome you're getting is worth way more, right? Maybe it's a social status, maybe it's impressing clients, whatever it is. But that's what we need to illustrate to our prospects and customers is, by working with me, you're going to get this huge outcome. And if we can do that, we're showing value. And if you can show value, you can charge what you need to charge for it. Pricing is super psychological. It's either too expensive because they don't see the value, or man, it's so affordable because you're solving a big pain point. Being a defined niche, solving a true market problem, demonstrating that your value are the pillars to being able to charge more. And really want to illustrate this. A path of discounting is a path to ruin, right? That's why so many companies fail, because you can't keep up. If you discount too much, you don't have profit margins. And without that, you can't scale, right? If you show your value, demonstrate monumental outcomes, you can charge what you need to charge to have that longevity. So let me give you some illustrations of what we do, how we apply this stuff, and hopefully that can help you do the same thing. So, we're focused on sales engagement, and I'll show you why. Market problems, right? So if you reach out to a lead, right, someone that's interested, within the first minute, you're 5 times more likely to convert them into a customer, right? That's, if you do the math, it's like a 400% increase in revenue potential, right? So if you capture 10, 20, 30% of that, it could be monumental, right? So, well, what's the problem? Problem is that most companies don't reach out for, like a week or more, right? And the reason is they're humans. It's hard. Life happens. We get in the way of things. And so we're solving a problem. I'm going to get to what the true problem is in a second, but companies just aren't able to reach out. The problem is that we're solving for is on the other end of it, right? 73% of folks never even get followed up with. So what gets me up every morning, what makes me happy, where my passion is we're helping our customers, right? We're giving them a competitive advantage, because if they reach out in the first minute, they're 5 times more likely to convert. But we're also helping the people, the leads, right? Because they have this want, this need for a product or service that they're not getting fulfilled. So we love it because we're helping both sides, and we're using AI to do that. So what's the problem we're solving is that nobody likes calling leads. People say they do, they really don't, because it's really annoying to call a lead. What you like is waking up in the morning with a calendar full of folks that have already been vetted, spoken to, and want to talk to you about your product or service. That's the true problem we're solving that resonates. And the thing is, you need AI to do that. Okay, so we're leveraging AI to fulfill this market-based problem, and we're able to do it consistently. And that's another key takeaway I hope you guys remember, is consistency in your business operations is critical to success and doing it. So that's what we're doing. I'll show you, some illustrations of how we do it. This is our niche, right? So we're in this very defined area where we're bridging the gap from when someone says, I'm interested. So we're not doing the lead gen. Someone's already interested. What we're doing is fulfilling that gap, bridging that gap from we're interested to being in the calendar. And that comes from engaging, we're qualifying, we're using AI. So we're using advanced algorithms of AI to mimic human behavior, mimic human speech, things like that, going into the client's calendar and booking them, and all the back and forth that goes into it. I'll show you in a second what that looks like. And of course, the nurturing follow-up. So all we're trying to do is get somebody that's interested along the next peg of the journey, the sales journey, to meet with the experts, the humans, to close the deal. That's the market, that's what we're fulfilling. That's our niche. And anyone that doesn't have this need, I frankly don't care about. I care about the people that do. I'm hyper focused on people that understand that this is an issue. Very, very important. And by the way, if you understand this is an issue, and we're priced pretty affordably, the value it's monumental. Okay. So just to kind of give you, what does it look like? We're using AI to not only engage people and qualify and book them, but to meet them where they are, because it's not good enough to just call. Like, who wants to do that? Nobody likes the phone anymore, really. So we're using AI to meet that lead. So if they're chatting through Google My Business, we're going to do the same thing, or DMing on Instagram. A majority of it is texting. I think it's like 86% of people want to communicate on text. So we're helping clients meet their leads where they are to fulfill that problem, all through AI. And these are similar applications you can do on whatever business operational problems you're trying to solve. AI is there today that can do it, and it can remove a lot of that cost prohibitive resource, like human capital and infrastructure and things like that. Just to give you an example, what it looks like. Here's the output of AI, right? So this is a real conversation. Obviously, no names. What's this going to cost me, right? Like, this is how people talk on texting and things like that. Chatbots, robots would never pick this stuff up. And what we're doing is, as you can see, what's this going to cost me? Well, we have flexible prices that can fit budgets. Why don't you meet with one of our experts? Like, this is actually a really cool, as a sales leader, this is a really cool response, something that you'd want your inside reps or receptionists or somebody to do every time. Unfortunately, they don't every time, right? So with AI, we have that consistency. You can see here, how long will the meeting last? Has nothing to do with this question. It's not a chatbot. This is true AI. And it was a very good answer, right? Takes about 30 minutes to an hour. Which of these slots work for you? And that's the consistency we want, but that you don't always get with say, sales reps, inside reps, receptionists. People, they take off, they call in sick, they're in bad moods, they take vacations. What we're doing is using AI to bring consistency in the way that the clients want every single time. So I think I know we don't have much time here. I think, yeah, that was pretty much it of what I wanted to address. I think just the big takeaways are here is if you're a founder, if you've got a small company, young company, or you're trying to start out, understand this is like the best time ever, because we have this ability through AI to level the playing field. It's not capital intensive. You don't need an army of people. What you need to do is the business planning. Make sure those pillars are there. Make sure you're solving the problems that the market has. You're super hyper focused with your niche. You're demonstrating your value is monumental. and then, you know, charging on the value. So I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm not over time, because I'd love to answer any questions that anyone might have. So Dr. Fisher, I'll bring it over to you now.
So thank you very much, David, for this lucid and, comprehensive at the same time discussion about how your tool can help pinpoint the buying impulses and then move the potential or prospective customer down the sales journey in order to bring value to the startup or the entrepreneur-driven company. Really interesting. I'm curious if you could comment more about the automation piece and how the entrepreneur would set that up in a way that would minimize risks. In other words, as I understand your Lexi solution, is it helps in the automation of the operations, right?
Yes.
But first, the entrepreneur, as you said, needs to map out the processes that they're currently following. And so what comes to my mind is in that flow, there's got to be risks. And so I'm wondering, maybe you could speak to how your particular solution would help the entrepreneur identify the risks and bridge the risks into a smooth sales process.
Yeah, great question. I think first and foremost, that comes out with proper mapping, right? So with mapping, you know, when you put it all on paper, you can see, and so first of all, if I take a step up, one of the big risks is that you're missing a link in the chain, right? From an operational standpoint. So one is what do we have in the you know, a great example is making a cup of coffee, right? What are the steps you have to do to make a cup of coffee? You know, put a filter in or a pod and do, you know, all these little things. So if you're missing a step, that coffee is not going to get made, right? Same thing in our business operations. Same thing with Lexi if we're actually reaching out to leads, right? So number one. Number two, when you lay it all out there, then you got to sit there and say, okay, what's the risk? You know, is there a glitch in the technology? There could be, right? I mean, chaos happens. What, you know, I tell people, some people say, well, what if the AI doesn't work? And I say, well, what if your sales rep doesn't come in, or your receptionist, right? Or worse yet, what if they're disgruntled and they're in a bad mood and they miscommunicate what you do, or something even worse. So there's always risks. So I think you have to see, okay, identify what's the risk, and then you put a score to it, and what's your tolerance of that. But you know, what we do is it's like anything else. You know, what are you comfortable with, and then what do you monitor, right? So we're monitoring communications. We're monitoring the quality end of it. Was it the right positioning that the clients wanted, right? Is it machine learning? Is it getting better and smarter and things like that? So part of that mapping is also optimization, right? What's not working that we got to fix, or where do we take to the next step? You know, with us, it's that, because you don't need 1,000 people texting and doing all this stuff, you can have somebody that's actually monitoring and making sure, in our case, that Lexi is operating to the specs of the client in the manner they want, because everyone has a different case. That's why we're able to customize Lexi according to that. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, super. And then the second thing that came to me and struck me in your presentation, David, is a bit of wisdom, actually. It seems that you're really not only successful as an entrepreneur, multiple companies yourself, but you have a good insight into the business process itself, which is data, how to convert it to intelligence, and then hand it off to the human for the decision making and the execution. And we all know that really what separates businesses at the end of the day, aside from an ability to communicate to internally to stakeholders and externally to customers, the vision that they represent, the value proposition that they can bring. But the second thing is execution. So maybe you could talk a little bit to this process, and how does the entrepreneur make choices where to apply the inflection of the.
So thank you. And I get passionate about this stuff because I love when founders are successful. In fact, I'm coming out with a book on that because there is no recipe cookbook for entrepreneurs. So it's, you know what? Can we shorten that cycle, collapse time of people not making mistakes and doing, or shorten those mistakes and getting them on the path? So actually stay tuned because that's going to come out because it's so needed. Execution is everything. And it's so hard to do that. A great book, if anyone's interested, Execution, The Discipline of Getting Things Done. I don't know if you've read that, back in probably 25 years old at this point. Larry Bossidy did wonders for me back in the day. It comes in with that mapping, right? So once you know what you need to do, once you know what the technology can do, now you got to do it. And when you map everything out, that kind of puts in, you got to put in there, okay, what are the roles, the human roles that are still there? And then you got to come up with the plans, right? And you got to hold yourself accountable, your team, to do that. And it has to be every day. What are we doing? Are these the right things? So and I like to talk about this a lot. It's easy to do things the right way. It's hard to hold ourselves accountable to doing the right things. And if we're not doing the right things, we're doing the wrong things the right way all day long, and that is a path to failure. So it's always it's doing it. OKRs, if anyone's familiar, objectives and key results, these quarterly goals, like these 5-year things are pointless in my opinion. What do we need to do? What do we want to accomplish in the next 3 months? What do we have to do at the month, at the end of this week, at the end of this day, and holding yourself accountable to, are you on that path? And by the way, you might not be, because as we all know, you got to pivot. We got to adapt to the market and things change. So we have to be able to be lean and move where it needs to be. But it's that daily, weekly, are we on the path where we need to be? If not, what has to happen? Oftentimes it's the execution piece of it.
Excellent. Well, we want to thank you, David Goldstein from SalesFusion, for setting some time aside to speak to the audience at the One Artificial Intelligence Conference. We wish you continued success and look forward to inviting you back on another occasion.
Well, it just made my day. Thank you. Take care. Thank you.
Peace and bliss.